last night may have cost them the league MVP honors because of the kind of year Patrick Mahomes and Todd Gurley are having. Not to mention Jared Goff. The fact of the matter, and Aaron Donald, to be quite honest with you. When you look at the games, think about Kansas City. Kansas City has 2 losses on the season. One was a 43-40 loss to New England, where Patrick Mahomes put on a show in the second half after struggling in the first half. The other was a 54-51 outcome against the Los Angeles Rams, in which he nearly threw for 500 yards. That's Patrick Mahomes' off day. You look at Drew Brees, as exceptional as he's been in the lead as far as I'm concerned for league MVP honors. He's been nothing short of sensational up until last night. But last night, he wasn't just ordinary. He was far beyond that. 18 for 28. 127 yards in a loss where you're averaging 37 points per game, but you only scored 10 in that game. That particular loss may have cost you home field advantage in an NFC championship game, assuming you get that far. All of those things are the kind of things that will resonate as we look at the MVP voting. So again, there are other games to be played. The jury is still out. But I do believe that if it comes down to a toss-up with Mahomes and Drew Brees and it being that close with Gurley in the mix as well, this one loss against the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday Night Football, the highest-rated game in Thursday Night Football history. And that's the game that's on Drew Brees' resume. I do believe there are people that are going to hold that against him.
I'm glad that you're conceding our debate from a couple weeks ago when you claimed Drew Brees just locked up the MVP.
I felt he did.
Thank you, Stephen A. Look,
I felt he did.
Look, there's too much football still ahead of us to say he won it or lost it right now. People don't understand 3-4 games can one game can change your perception at that level when you're trying to split hairs among the elite. Think of what Mahomes has done. Now, in Los Angeles, you have 3 guys who could split up the vote probably in Donald and Gurley and Goff, and they're all deserving candidates. They all deserve our consideration. By the way, stay in Los Angeles. Phillip Rivers, I know he blew a game, but boy, he came back and set a record the next game. He's had an excellent year. And I would even say Andrew Luck and what he's been doing, like there's enough football ahead of us that if Luck balls out by the end of the year, we might be like, I mean, like that's what Cam Newton did when he won the MVP. And in fact, Russell Wilson gave him some run that year for what he did in the second half of the season. There's still a lot of football to be played. Drew Brees did not just blow it, nor has he locked it up. There are at least a half dozen legit MVP candidates at this moment. And you know what? Brees may still be leading the pack by a little bit.
Yeah, you know that the MVP race is very much so momentum-driven. And the people who vote on it are oftentimes prisoners of the moment. And the moment right now for them, as it relates to Drew Brees, is, well, he got shut down last night. Oh, he looked skittish last night. He looked nothing like what he has looked like all year long last night. And I'll tell you this. Think about Patrick Mahomes' year. Have you really had a moment so far this year in 2018 where you said, Patrick is off. He looks like a rookie. It just looks like it's going bad for him. Here it looks like where he's regressing a little bit. Now he's looking like, well, not a rookie, but now he's looking like a guy who's a first-year starter. You haven't seen that in him. Have you seen that in Jared Goff so far this year? Remember, when they went head-to-head, Jared Goff was the one who made the money throws. So he has to be right up there at the very top. No question about it. Aaron Donald, remember that game against Kansas City? If we want to talk about signature moments, he took over that football game. And then those guys, and that team in particular, they're going to be playing a game here soon in a week against the Chicago Bears that may top all of the games so far this year as far as contrast in styles, strength versus strength, high-powered offense versus shutdown defense. So if Jared Goff balls out there, he could absolutely separate himself from the rest of the pack in that game, too. So could Aaron Donald. Aaron's going to be going, well, he's not going up against Khalil Mack, but you have 2 premier defensive players. So people's attention will be on that side of the ball. And you're right. Look, there's a whole lot of things that need to be settled out here as we move down.
If Khalil Mack would have stayed on the field, he'd be the MVP.
That's right.
So, I mean, a lot of guys.
What's interesting is I don't want to say Drew lost it last night, but the momentum changes so fast, and there's so many big games to come up. I think it's just wide open.
Look, we can say this. We can say this. When Stephen A., you said he locked it up, there's no doubt Drew Brees put real distance between himself and the rest of the pack at that moment. And at this moment, he's come back to the pack. But I would say he's probably still leading it.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Max. I think it is like neck and neck. Because these guys, any of these guys could go off for a big game at any moment.
At this moment, if you had to give an MVP vote, who would it go to? push come to shove, right now, who's the MVP of the league? I'll give mine to Drew Brees still at this moment by a hair.
Wow. I'll tell you what, because of how young Patrick is and just because of how he is setting records and doing things that we have never seen before, I'm going with him. And I know
the Rams game with the turnovers and the picks?
Yeah, he lost that game with a turnover.
Yeah, you know what?
It's tough.
It's tough.
That's the tough one on his resume. And
Stephen A., who's your MVP? Stephen A., who's your MVP right now?
You're right.
It would still be Drew Brees, but I will tell you this. Never in my wildest dreams did I see a performance like that coming last night. Not from him.
No.